Hi guys, welcome back. So 3 bits of news I really want to talk to you about, and of course I want to know your opinions on these important pieces of news. First of all, we have Warren Gatland announcing the Lions training camp in Jersey. A good 10 days to prepare for their warm-up game versus Japan. Certainly a lot longer than they had to prepare for a warm-up game back when they played in New Zealand. But the English and French clubs, their players may well be involved in knockout games in their playoff system. And even if they're not, there's certainly going to be some wrangling about releasing players as always. Now, that was always on the cards. Gatland always knew that was what was going to happen. But the brilliant thing with Warren Gatland is he's painfully honest. And he griped to the media about it. And when they said, will it affect their chances of being selected? He kind of went for the truth rather than kind of the media answer he should have gone for, I guess. He said, well, if it's a 50-50 call and someone's not available for 10 days of training, well, yeah, I guess it will. And that is the truth. I mean, if there's a very tight call and someone's available for, 2 weeks of training almost and someone isn't, then who do you go for, obviously? But, you don't say that to the media, but that's Gatland for you. He's always done that and has continued to do it by the looks here. I mean, the likes of people like Stuart Hogg, for example, he's so far, ahead of a 50-50 call, I would say it's not going to be a problem. But for some players, it may well mean the difference between them making and not making the Lions. Again, just shows you the conflict of interest you have when, all these parties, they're not really pulling in the same direction at all. But anyway, let me know what you think about that. Was it refreshing for him to kind of say the truth, or should he have kept his mouth shut? And if there are 50-50 calls, which English and French-based players might miss out? Now, the second really interesting piece of news, actually probably the most interesting piece of news, is the announcement or the giving of licenses to 2 Pacific Island teams, 2 professional teams in the Pacific Islands. Well, it's going to happen. Absolutely fantastic news. So for next year, it looks like it's going to be the 5 New Zealand and the 5 Australian teams, and then those 2 Pacific Island teams making up the Super Rugby tournament as South Africa go north. As their teams go north, that's what's going to be happening with Super Rugby next year at least. Incredibly exciting. I mean, the style of play, the excitement we should see from those sides is phenomenal. I mean, New Zealand and Australian teams play an exciting brand of rugby anyway, plus you chuck in the mix those 2 Pacific Island teams. Absolutely brilliant. And a huge step towards keeping talent in the islands. It's not going to happen, obviously, completely. For example, for Fiji, they did have the draw of the Sevens program playing in the Olympics, but then they had to go off and play 15s in Europe or in New Zealand, for example. But now there's an opportunity to keep their best players in the islands playing professional rugby. It's absolutely brilliant. It sounds like about half their players are going to be local island talent and half are going to be returning from overseas. Just fantastic, and I hope it works out. Especially financially. That's the worry I have. Is there enough money to keep these teams going, for one? And then also the governance. It needs to be run really professionally, which is a problem that Pacific Island nations have had, unions have had. So I really want to keep my fingers crossed for that one. Let me know what you think is going to happen, if it's going to work. And the other thing is, I just hope it's not kind of a convenient recruiting ground that brings Pacific Island players back towards New Zealand, if you like, and then after a year or so playing well, then New Zealand sides, kind of nick them or whatever it is. I don't know, being a little bit sceptical there, but hey, let me know what you think about that. Just brilliant news all round. Can't wait for that tournament. And linking on nicely with that, some of the trial laws they've been playing in the Super Rugby competitions in New Zealand and Australia are coming to the Rainbow Cup. So we've got the South African club sides playing with the Pro 14 club sides. They're going to trial these 3 laws. The red card change, where you can replace a red card player, but only after 20 minutes. So effectively, you have double the punishment of a yellow card, but then you can actually replace that player and you don't have to play a full match with one less player, as long as there's more than 20 minutes to go. And hopefully it won't ruin the game. That's the idea for fans and the players that are not red carded. And we've certainly seen that recently. I haven't argued with the reasons for red cards being given particularly, but certainly it does tend to spoil the games as a spectacle. The verdict I have there is I really like it. I think it's a big improvement. As long as it doesn't discourage that foul play they're trying to get rid of, I don't think it will, because it's essentially 20 minutes down a man is really, really tough punishment and could lose a game anyway. Double the punishment of a yellow card, it just seems to make sense. And of course, you can still, these players that are red carded will still get bans, and they will still look at the incidents and see how bad they are. So I think it's a win-win all round. Let me know if you disagree or agree. The second is this captain's challenge. So they get one challenge per match, but they keep it. If they get a challenge correct, they keep the challenge. The only change is after 75 minutes, they can challenge for anything, and before that, it's only try-scoring actions or foul play that they can question. But I like that. If they're successful, they keep their challenge. And my goodness me, this changes the role of a captain enormously. They're going to have to become like a cricket captain and actually be really, really smart in how they use their challenges, and only challenge if they genuinely think it's a mistake, rather than just kind of just going for it. Why not? They've only got 20 seconds to challenge. It can only be in the last passage of play, so they're going to have to be pretty sharp on this as well. I imagine there's going to be lots of shouts coming in for the sideline saying, yes, challenge that, or don't challenge that. They can't challenge scrum or line-out penalties, and it must be a very specific thing they challenge. So my verdict on that is interesting. For like a rugby geek like me, it's fantastically interesting and adds another layer of complexity. The downside is it adds another layer of complexity and could really increase controversy instead of even reduce it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm 50-50 on that one. Let me know what you think. And the rule changing for the last 5 minutes, I know emotionally it's different in the last 5 minutes, but technically kind of it's the same all the way through, so I don't quite know why that is. But anyway, let me know what you think of that one. 50-50 on that one. And then the last one is the goal line dropout rule, where if an attacking team goes over the line and they're held up, now what happens is you tend to have, you have a 5 metre scrum to the attack, but actually what it would be is a dropout from the goal line, so the defenders could essentially clear their lines effectively. Now I like this. It takes a bit of power away from the attackers, and also makes the attackers think, well, we can't just try and flop over the line, because we could essentially lose our chance to score a try, and they get to clear their lines. And it maybe makes attackers think more creatively about scoring. I like it. The old Exeter way of clumping together and trying to latch over the line, maybe it's going to become less appealing. I'm not blaming sides like Exeter, because if it's effective, you do it in professional rugby, but it would be nice to take that power away from that sort of scoring a try, because it is boring, and I would like a little bit more skill in scoring a try. And then the jeopardy of if you go over, you need to make sure you score. I like that as well. Gives defenders that extra tool. So my verdict on that is I do like it. So the first 1 and 3 I really like. The captain's challenge, not so sure about, but let me know what you think. So lots of interesting news there, guys. Let me know what you think on all those issues, and I'll be back for a new video very soon, and I'll catch you next time.